Hello, everyone. We'll just get started in about a minute or so. Welcome to today's live stream. We got a lot to cover today. All right. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Today is Monday, September 27th. I do these live streams every Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time, where we go over everything Webflow, from building layouts, typography, building interactions and animations in Webflow. And I also provide support via Super Chat. If you want me to take a look at your site, you can just drop a Super Chat and we can go over it in the live stream. So yeah, we do have a lot to cover today. Last week, we focused a lot on typography and responsive typography, especially the Wizardry method. So I've done quite a bit of research over the weekend and practiced with this method quite a bit. And I have to say, I really like it. It does have its use cases. For me, I'm a template developer, so I might stick with pixels for a moment, but it's opening my mind to using VWs and Ms a bit more. And I'm starting to use VWs a bit more for like padding and things like that on sections, because I think that's a really useful way to use VW is by applying it to padding. So yeah, we're going to continue with these topics. They are a bit more advanced. If you're new to Webflow, feel free to ask any question in the chat about Webflow. I'm happy to answer anything, but we will be working with VW, Ms today, and kind of building a layout using those units. And this is the layout we will be building today. We're going to be using the Wizardry method again. And this time I'm going to try not to add custom code, and I'll showcase that in a second. So with the Wizardry method, it's kind of a way to scale your designs or your desktop layouts so that even on really large screens, the layout looks the same, which to me is kind of incredible. You could be on a 5,000 pixel iMac, or like the resolution could be super high, and the site would look the same as if you're on a 13-inch MacBook Pro or 13-inch MacBook Air. I believe they have 13-inch, or just a small computer. It would look the exact same way. Like the dimensions would look the same relative to each other, whether you're on a big or small screen. And what I mean by that is, for example, I'm on my screen resolution is like 1920 by 1280. And if I make the size of the browser smaller, nothing changes within the design. So here I'm viewing the site live and nothing is changing. Whereas if I were to go like to a site like this is the site we're going to be working with today. If I zoom out, look what happens, right? Things get larger and smaller, right? So that's kind of pretty incredible to me that we can achieve that in Webflow using the VW unit and Ms. And this is the project here in Webflow. And right now I'm viewing the site at 3,000 pixels. If I make it 5,000, the width of the canvas 5,000, or of the browser, nothing changes in the design. So yeah, that's kind of amazing. I don't know if you can catch subtly what I'm kind of showing here, but we're just changing the size. Like I could let's say we go to Unsplash, right? And I resize the browser. Look at that. Like all the images become small. Right, so I'm just trying to hit this point home, but I'm changing the size here on this site, nothing. It's as if I'm not doing any, like, it's quite something. So I definitely want to cover this method a bit more, because I think quite a few will find it useful if they want to achieve this effect. So here I can resize my browser as well. So like all the elements are responsive. It's like scaling a site. And I think this is something we've always wanted to do for quite some time. And now we can. Like, my mind is a bit blown by this. And not just because we can do this, but because of how it's being done. It's very elegant the way it's being done. It's not like it's an image and we're scaling it up and down. We're using VW on the body, on the font size, and then we're using M's to size everything, which allows us to scale the site like this. So to me, like, just over the weekend and today, I've been working on this site, and I'm very impressed by this method. And I'm not sure if I'll be using it in my builds per se, but I'm going to keep practicing with it and see what bits and pieces I can take into my build to make things even more fluid and responsive. So hello, Tori. Hello, Alex and Base. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you caught the beginning of this live stream. I'm basically going over the Wizardry method again and how we can make things fully scalable and responsive. So I'm going to go ahead and start building. So one of my focuses for this week in the live streams is to stay more on track, because the last few streams or last week, I felt like I would go off track a little bit with some discussions. But we're just going to jump right into this build and really, hone in on building in Webflow and leveling up our skills with responsive design and making things more fluid and responsive. So this is the Figma file that I'll be grabbing or like using kind of these wireframes so that we can have, just tons of content to work with and to build in Webflow. So I looked at this kind of wireframe here, or this little template, and I decided to build it using the Wizardry method. And this is what it turned out to be. Then I used kind of this Neomorphism site to kind of create some more styling to the site. I like this effect. It's kind of a cool little effect where it adds shadows in a specific way to give you more of a different dimension to your design. So it's something I'm playing with. We'll see if it pans out as far as like how usable it is, or how user friendly, or like how it affects the UI and visually how it looks. So yeah, let's go ahead and start building this. I'm going to go ahead into the Wizardry documentation, and I'm just going to clone this project. And we're going to start with the default settings he set for the different headings and the typography. And I'll just run through it really quick. So, we have the H1 heading. So basically the way the Wizardry method works is you add to the body all pages tag, you set the font size to 1VW, and you can set the line height to anything, but you do want to set it to unitless for the line height. So everything is responsive. And then, so Timothy Ricks, he just went through and set specific sizing to the different headings. So we have this heading, it's at 2.7 M's. So for all the different units, you want to use M's once you set the body all pages font size to 1VW. And then he goes over in the documentation, like what you want to set to M's or percentages, what you want to set to unitless, and what you want to set to VW and shadows and things like that. So the only thing that uses pixels in this design or in this method is small borders and drop shadows. So that's kind of cool to note. So I have the project, and then heading 3 is 1.7 M's, heading 4 is 1.3 M's, heading 5 is 1 M, heading 6 is 0.85 M's. Then we have the paragraph, which is 1 M, and the text link is 1 M, and then the rich text just kind of showcases what that would all look like together. This block quote is probably like, let's see what the M's are. 140%. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So for the block quote, it's using a percentage. Okay. Not sure why, but that's interesting. Wonder if the font is at a percentage. Okay, cool. So anyways, we'll be using this kind of template. So again, the Wizardry method, if you haven't checked it out, it's wizardrytechnique.webflow.io. And then there's documentation right from the site you can click on right up here. And there's a calculator if you want to add a container with a specific max width. So for this site, there's no max width, and that's why it's fully scalable. But we'll play around with it with adding a max width as well. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'll create a new page. I'll call it the Our Team page. And let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a section right in here. I'm going to set the class name to section. I'm going to set the min height to 100 VH, so it spans the full height of the viewport. And I might reference this site a little bit just so I can see what I did in some instances. So let me see. Yeah, I didn't apply any padding to the section. I applied it to the container. So that's one thing Timothy Ricks mentions, is applying the padding to the container and not the section. So not exactly sure the reasoning behind that, but I'm sure it has to do with probably with setting the max width and things like that. So let's go ahead and add a div block. I'll call this container, and I will set it. Oh, okay, so cool. So because I'm using the template, this clonable project that Timothy has here, he's already set he's already set the values for the container. So if you just type in container for the class, so we can look at what classes he has here. So he has container, style item, HTML. All right, cool. And he has section. So for the section, there's no real styling. Yeah. Okay. But for the container, we see we have a padding of 5M and 5M, and then 10M and 10M for the container, which is equal to 10 VW, basically because M's are relative to the next parent element size, or next parent element font size. So because the font size on the body is 1 VW, then 1M is equal to 1 VW. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, so we're just building out this layout here. So I want to add this our teamworks. And this was a bit interesting, the way I looked at this. So we had this space here, and this is where grid comes in handy because it allows us to keep things aligned while still kind of adding an odd element, if I can say it that way. Like we have this line here, but then we have this text which is to the right, but this line is centered to this text up here. So essentially if you had a div block here and a div block here, it'd be a little bit difficult to get this perfectly aligned. There might be a way, but to me the only way I saw to do this was with grid. So kind of a 2x2 grid for this. So the way I did this is in the container, I added a div block, and I called this, let me reference this site here just to make sure I have it right. Yeah, I called it heading wrapper. And yeah, heading. Yep, so heading wrapper. So I'll just give it that class name, heading wrapper. And then I set it to grid. And this line in the Figma file is 128 pixels in width. And what I did for this one, yeah, so I set it in M's. So let me just demonstrate that really quick. So here, let's see. Yeah, so for the grid, I set the values in M's as well. So rather than FR units, I used M's. So for the columns, I said like 8M for the left column. I believe that's what I did. So let me just double check. Yeah, 8M. And yeah, so that's what I did there. And I'll just say done for now. It doesn't look right at the moment, so let me just add a div block in here. So let me add a div. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. So for this div block, I'm going to call this heading line. And I'm going to set the width to 7.5 M's and a height of 4. I think this should be in M's as well. So maybe 1 M or 0.5 M. Yeah, let's try that, 0.5 M, and I'll play with this. And then I'll set the color to, the background color, we'll set it to 333. And nice. So there we have our line, and I'm going to mess with this in a second, but let me go ahead and add another div. I'm going to add a heading actually. and this heading is going to go in here. So this heading should go, here we have this div block. Yeah, so this heading should be going in the next grid cell. So let me see, why isn't it? So heading, yeah, there we go. I had to place it in the heading wrapper. So we have the heading, and for this heading line, I'm also going to center it like this using grid. So I just aligned it to the center. I'll go ahead and change this line to like 0.3 ems. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then we have this heading. So I'm just going to style the headings. I'm going to use a different font for this project. This is using Arial, but I like using Inter. It's very close to Helvetica, so I just like using it because Google Fonts doesn't have Helvetica. All right, so we'll add that font, and let's go back to that page. And feel free to ask any questions as I'm going through this. So I'm just selecting the all H1 headings and just setting it to Inter. All right, so that looks pretty good. And we'll call it our team works. Our team works. All right, so we're going to leave this div here empty. So I'm going to add a paragraph. So let's just add a paragraph. I'm going to set it to manual so I can move it to this grid cell. And now we have this blank space, and these two elements are perfectly aligned. All right, so let's go ahead and start resizing. And we already have a really responsive site. I can change it to the size of the screen to 3000 pixels. And we can see it resizes, and I think that's because we have a max width on the container. But if I remove this max width, we have a fully responsive site here, right? Like it just scales up and down. Okay, so I removed the max width from the container for now, but as we build it, I'll add a max width as well, so we can kind of see how that works. And we might use the custom code that Timothy Ricks provides in the Wizardry method to make sure that we're not scaling past the max width, or we set the font size to pixels after we get past the max width. All right, so this did take me a few days to kind of integrate or like assimilate the information and practice with it. So if you're interested in this method, I definitely recommend, watching Timothy's video, going through all the units he mentions, and kind of getting a feel for how this method works. But hopefully this live stream is providing a bit more context to this method. Okay, so yeah, so we have that, and let me just copy this text from Figma, and I'll just paste it in there. All right, so that looks pretty good. We can work with the gaps too. So for the gaps, we also want to set them in M's. So I'm going to set the gap to 1M here, and for the rows, we'll set it to 1M for the grid. Yeah, 1M looks good. And nice, I like that. So the next section is building out these cards. This took me a moment because I initially wanted the cards to be perfect squares, which if we look at the site, they're not really perfect squares. We might be able to get it to be perfect squares, but they look pretty good to me right now. I mean, yeah, they are almost kind of squarish. I wonder if I was able to achieve it. No, they feel a little bit wider than square. In any case, let's go ahead and start building that. Let me just take a look at my structure here. All right, so in the container, I'll add a div block, and I'll call this teams, our teams or teams wrapper. Yeah, teams wrapper. And then we have the cards. So for the teams wrapper, I set this to grid. Hey, Purple Style, what's up? For sure. Happy to help. This is definitely an in-depth topic here. So I'll break up this week into this will be more kind of getting into some really in-depth topics, and then maybe tomorrow we'll just build a light animation, and because we don't want to do all week just hammering really hard concepts, because you want to sometimes take a break too. And not that this is super hard, but yeah, I'll kind of we'll see. Maybe we'll just build all week. So we have the Teams wrapper. I'll set it to grid, and I want this to have 3 columns. So I'll just click here to duplicate it. And for the gap, we'll say 1M or 2M. And for the row, let's do 1M. Okay, so I'm not sure why the gap was removed, but in any case, there's no gap at the moment. So these are the little intricacies that, you kind of start to learn as you work with these units. Like for me, I don't know why the gap just got removed. There's probably an obvious reason why, but I set the gaps to M's. Oh, maybe I think I know why. So let me go back in here. No, we're going to have to change these FR units to M's as well. So let me go back into this grid and just take a look. Oh no, I left them to FR. So, okay, so we'll leave them at FR. All right, so let's go ahead and start to add the cards in here. So let me click done. I'm going to add some padding to the top of this Teams wrapper, so 4M. So that's another thing when working with the Wizardry method. All padding and margins need to be in M's as well. Oh, nice. Yeah, Upwork is a great place to find work. Yeah, I use WordPress and Wix, but this is Webflow is awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you just stumbled upon, I don't know how long you've been working with Webflow, if you've just found it, but welcome to the bright side. No, I'm not gonna get cheeky with it, but yeah, once you get into Webflow, it's kind of hard to go back to anything else. Webflow is like, I mean, just look at some of the stuff I'm doing here. I'm scaling a site like this. Like, I don't even want to think what it would take to do this in WordPress or Wix. Like, I'm not even sure I want to try to think about that. Or maybe I have no idea if it's easy or not. But yeah, to do something like this in Webflow and the way it's done is just, to me, is just amazing. And along with all the other features Webflow provides. All right, so we have the Teams wrapper. Yeah, so let me continue with the build. Hello, Theodoric. What's up? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, come every day. I'm doing a live stream, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central, and we just go over everything Webflow. We learn to build together, and we just have fun creating things in Webflow. So definitely welcome. Manuel wrote, yeah, great, you cover this in depth. Damn, think I really have to get into these M stuff. Yeah, maybe, Manuel, like I spent quite some time this weekend just reviewing M's and seeing how I could provide some useful information to everyone in my live stream. And I'm also building a new template for the marketplace. And I will say this has opened my eyes to using VW units more and M's. More so VW. Like I recently, like as I'm building this new template, like I'm actually using VW units for like padding and I might use it for margin as well, but especially on sections, I'm adding VWs because I think it looks really nice. And for like a few different things like margin, actually I used VW for the navigation because it made the site look a lot more responsive. So I'm excited to share that new template once it's available, but I'm having a lot of fun building it now because I have more things in my tool belt, I should say, as far as building a responsive site. Cool. So let me add the cards. I told myself I wasn't going to go on tangents, but let me add a div block, and there we have the card. So for the card, I'm going to first add the elements inside of it. So I'm going to call this team card wrapper. And let me just go ahead and add the elements. So if we look here, we have for this design, we have some text, we have the image, and we have a text here. There's also an animation. I might not get into that today, but let's just go ahead and add this content. So in the team card wrapper, I'm going to add a text block. I'm not going to make any of this text headings, just straight up text blocks. And I'm going to call this team or, team title. Team title, okay. And then in the wrapper, I'm going to add a div block, and this is going to be called team, or I'm going to just call it image wrapper. Yeah, image wrapper. And then I'm going to add an image in here, and I'm going to call this team image. And in the team card wrapper, let's add another text block, and we'll call this team name. All right, so yeah, for the team card wrapper, I'm going to set it to a position of, or display setting of flex. This live stream beyond than other Webflow courses. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Tommy Gunn wrote, same, I barely used VW before using T-Rix method. Yeah, it's definitely a very cool method. I'm excited I came across it. Maybe I'll have Timothy on this live stream one day. I don't know. I haven't done a live stream, or haven't attempted to have somebody else on a live stream, so I probably have to look into how to set that up. But yeah, having Timothy on would be really cool. Alex and Base wrote, do you guys recommend emailing business with personalized mockups of what their websites would look like to find work? Been on it for a while, but no luck yet. Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe others can respond to that in the chat. I personally haven't done that, probably because I'm just busy with the live streams and templates at the moment. But yeah, if anyone has any input there, that'd be cool. Yeah, so for the team card wrapper, I'm going to set it to flex, vertical, and then for these individual elements, so for the team title, I'm just going to go to alignment and order and put it to the right. For this one, the team name, I'm going to put it to the left. And for the team card wrapper, actually, I'm going to set it to center. I'll set it to center. So vertical, align center, and justify top. And then for the team title, I'll align it to the right. And for the team name, I'll align it to the left. Okay, so let me go ahead and add an image. So let me open the assets panel. And I have an image right here. I got it from Unsplash. And let's just add that image right in there. Okay, so this is where it gets fun. So for the image wrapper, I want to set, this is where like all the width and heights that I use from now on are going to be in ems. And this is the part that took me a moment to wrap my head around, because I'm so used to working in pixels for sizing that I had to adjust or get used to using ems for sizing. And the biggest concept here for me to wrap my head around was that, let's say you use a 3x3 M is a perfect square. And why is it a perfect square? Because 1 M is equal to 1 VW, right? So it's essentially 3x3 VW. And if you're using the same unit for both the width and the height, you're going to get a perfect square. I'm used to thinking like for height, I'm used to thinking in VH, which is viewport height, but we're actually using viewport width for the height as well when using ems. So if that didn't make sense, just watch me build, because it'll become a bit more clear as I'm building. So let me just reference what I used for this site for the image wrapper. Yeah, so for the image wrapper, I used 10 ems by 10 ems. So I'm not sizing the image. The image I'm going to set to 100%. So for the image wrapper, I said 10 ems by 10 ems. Okay. And yeah, so we have a perfect square. And then for the image, I set it to 100% by 100%. So we can see the image is skewed. So all we have to do is under fit, go to cover. And now we have a really nice image. It's sized well, and it's in a perfect square. So again, I'm using ems. That's because we want everything to be scalable. So already if I resize, like look what happens there. Like to me, that's just awesome. So let's show some contrast, right? So like for the image wrapper, if I were to set this to, I don't know, 100 by 100 pixels, 100 pixels by 100 pixels, as I'm resizing, like notice the text resizes, but the image doesn't. Or even maybe to make it more apparent, let me do 200 by 200. And if I resize, the image does not resize. If I make the screen larger, 3000 pixels, the text gets larger, but the image stays the same size. So that's why we're using ems, because it's relative to the body font size, which is 1 VW. Okay, so hopefully that was clear. So for the image wrapper, we're going to do 10 ems by 10 ems. Basically everything we're doing is going to be in ems. So then for the image wrapper, I'm also going to set the radius to 50%. So we get a perfect circle. Right now we don't see a perfect circle, and that's because we have to set the overflow to the image wrapper to hidden, right? So right here I clicked on hidden, and it just kind of, anything that's inside of it gets cropped to this circle. So again, we set the radius to 50% of the image wrapper. If I were to remove this, it would be a perfect square, but adding 50% to a perfect square makes a circle. All right, so we have the image, and let me see what I did for the margin here. So I think I just added bottom and top margin. Yeah, so I added bottom and top margin to the image so that the text is separated from the image. So Purple Style said we need membership and e-commerce live stream using Webflow. For sure. Yeah, I think that's a highly requested feature. I would say stay tuned, because I'm sure, Webflow is definitely working on improving and adding new features. So I'll be super excited if and when that gets added. But that would be very cool. So yeah. So again, I'm going to add some padding and margin to this card to get it looking nice. So for the padding, I'm just going to add 1 EM of padding from all the sides. And one thing to note, like I like holding shift to add the same margin and padding from all directions, but it doesn't quite work when you use M's. Like you have to add the M's to each side first, and then it registers that each side is an M's. So now I can change all the sides in M units. But right now I just want 1 M across the board. And for the image wrapper, I'm going to add a margin of 1 M from the bottom and the top. Oops. 1 M. And let's see the team card wrapper. Yes. Okay. So now I see. So essentially I could make these card wrappers perfect squares, but in order to do that, and I didn't quite figure out how to do that as I was building it. So I ended up just giving a height. Let's see. Yeah, because if I set a specific width to the card, then the grid, it doesn't use up the full container width in the grid. And it ends up adding more space between each card. So what I just did is just added height and just set the width to 100% of the card and set the height to 20 M's. Okay. And then for the team card wrapper, rather than justify top, I said justify space between. So everything, more space gets added. So essentially I don't even need to add margin to the top and bottom here. I can actually remove this from this image wrapper. Okay, so let me add some text here. Oh, thank you, Asanka. Appreciate it. So yeah, marketing director. Let me go ahead and add that. Marketing director and John. Oh, I called Amelia S. Johnson. Cool. I just came up with that name. I don't know. The name just sounded nice to me. Amelia S. Johnson. And for the name, let's change the text. I'm going to set it to enter. And I'm going to set the size to 1.3 M's to make it a little bit bigger. And the font weight, set it to bold, so 700 font weight. And then for the marketing director, I'm also going to set this a little bit larger, maybe 1.1 M's. Okay, so yeah, we have our card. That's looking good. And yeah, we did that with grid, and we're still using M's and the Wizardry method. One thing that not that I struggle with it, but sometimes with the margin and padding, like for example, this heading wrapper, like rather than using margin to separate it from the Teams wrapper, I actually just added padding to the Teams wrapper, which I think could work. And I could also probably just add padding to the heading wrapper, like to even add more spacing. But, you know, I guess either way works. You can add margin or padding. So I just added some more padding to the heading wrapper, and it just creates more space there. So for now, let me go ahead and add a border to the team card wrapper so we can kind of distinguish between each of them. So we have this card, and to add them to the other grid cells, I'm just going to right click and say duplicate. And just like that, we have a grid of cards. So this is going to this is where I can showcase kind of the magic of this method. And it's cool that he called it a wizardry method, because it is kind of wizardry. Like, look at this. I am changing the size of the browser, and look how beautiful that scales. Like, that just blows my mind. That's a really nice layout. Like, that is some top-notch layout stuff. You know, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but like, I have to give mad props to Timothy Ricks for this method, because, you know, like, you can just scale a site like that. And essentially, you don't need to use containers if your goal was to have the site look exactly the same on huge screens or small screens. So actually, somebody in my live stream yesterday asked about TVs, and this is it. This is the answer. Like, someone asked, like, how can I make my site look the same on TV, on a big TV? This is it. Like, you could have a TV that's 10,000 pixels. I don't know what a resolution on a TV would be, and I'd probably have to look that up. But I'm going to make the width of this canvas 10,000 pixels. All right. I don't know of a monitor that has a resolution of 10,000. But if there was, this method would allow you to make a website that fits that resolution. So 10,000 pixels, hit enter. Look at that. Nothing changed besides the border, width. And there might be some custom code to allow you to retain the size of the border width. And you know what? Let's go ahead. Actually, in the wizardry method, he says small borders to use pixels, but let's experiment and add ems for the border width. So I'm going to say 1 Look at that. So let's try 0.3 ems. And let's say 0.2 ems. So let me resize this. So let's change it back to 3,000 pixels. Look at that. Wow. This is blowing my mind. Yeah, so using ems for the border retains the border width as well. So you could have your site look exactly the same on a TV and be beautifully legible using this method. I love it. I absolutely love it. So the border does get a bit thicker using ems, but I mean, that's okay. Like, if I'm going to make it look perfectly good on a TV and have a user, I can imagine that experience. Like, if someone's used to browsing on their TV, I don't personally browse on a TV, but if someone did get used to it and was good at browsing on their TV, like, coming across the site that looked this good on TV, like, I'd be like, wow, that's like, everything's big and everything's really legible. Okay, I'm just geeking out now, because I'm like, I'll freak out if I really, like, I'm trying to contain myself a little bit, because this is just so cool. But yeah, so this is the wizardry method. Now let me show what it would look like if I had a container applied, right? We wouldn't get the same effect. So this is why, to me, like, if you have a container, yeah, it's cool. Like, I don't know if using this method, if I would want a container. It depends on the specific site I was building. But if I didn't want the site to be responsive after a certain point, then there is some custom code that Timothy Ricks provides here. Like, if you have a max width, then you want to use this max width calculator, and I might use it in a second. And Tommy, I think you're the one who mentioned it for sure. So yeah, you sent me on a path that was very, very cool. So we have this max width calculator, and if you didn't want it to get larger after a specific point, then yeah, you'd add this custom code. So I'll just show what it looks like without the custom code. So for the container, I'm going to add a max width of 1440, right? And I like using that size for a container. So as we scale down, it still scales, but look what happens once we get past 1440. The elements still scale, but they stay bound to the container. So it looks a little bit odd. So if I were to say 3000 for the width, like look what happens. Our elements go out of the container because elements are still resizing using the M method, but because they're constrained to the 1440 pixel container, it's overflowing out of it and it's just kind of squishing everything. So what Timothy recommends, and let's just do it really quick. So the container max width is 1440. So we just have to copy this code. And in Webflow, we just add an embed element, which is right down here. And we just paste that code in there. So save and close, and like magic. It really is like a wizardry type of system. Yeah, T-Rex, like, if you check out his YouTube channel, like, along with my stuff, like I have to, toot my own horn a little bit because I like what I create too. Like along with some of the stuff I show, and I focus heavily on animations and interactions, but definitely going to be focusing more on layouts, especially in these live streams and probably moving forward with more videos. But Timothy Ricks, like I looked at some of his videos and I like how he thinks, because I think the same way. Like he uses a lot of the same scripts I use. Like one script that I really love and that I use, and I'll probably make more videos about, is the anime.js script. And I saw that Timothy works with it as well. Like anime.js is just great for like adding stagger animations, and my voice cracked a little bit. But yeah, I like how he thinks as far as like web design and his approach to web design and the different scripts he uses. Like check out his YouTube channel. It's called Timothy Ricks. And yeah, like who knows, maybe I'll have him on this live stream one day. And I'm not going to be going to the no code conf this year, but maybe next year. And if anyone can make it, like, we can link up and stuff if they're going to do one next year. But yeah, I definitely want to go to next year's no code conf. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, Timothy Ricks, check out his YouTube channel. So yeah, check out his YouTube channel and my YouTube channel. Those are the best ones. All right, I probably shouldn't go that, say that. I like my YouTube channel, and Timothy's is nice as well. It's great as well. So, all right, I'll keep going with the build. Yeah, for sure, merging multiple kind of content is the best way. Definitely. Yeah, there's picking from different content is definitely awesome. But watch my content more. It's definitely, no. Okay, I'm gonna just continue building. All right, so Timothy Ricks, check out his YouTube channel for sure. Cool. But I have to toot my own horn because I do put a lot of effort into this. So yeah, that's not to take away from anybody else, but I have to promote myself and give props to myself as well. All right, cool. So this is what happens when you add a max width. So let's remove the max width. So I remove the max width, and now we also have to remove that embed that I just added. So I'll delete it, and voila. So now we have a fully responsive, scalable site no matter what the width of the browser. So that's just a little caveat. If you are working with a max width container, Timothy provides this piece of code. You can add your max width, and it'll just stop scaling the site at a specific max width, right? And that'll prevent, things scaling and looking kind of odd. If you do have a container that's a max width, things won't overflow out of it and they won't try to resize. All right, so let's see what this looks like on mobile. I'll take a look at mobile real quick, and then we'll add the Neomorphism style here to the site. So let's go to tablet, and tablet actually still looks good, but yeah, this looks all right. I don't know if I'd have a grid like this. Let's resize this. Yeah, that might work. All right, so let's go to mobile then. Or you know what? Yeah, I'm still kind of happy with that. I don't know. That still looks kind of good to me. Yeah, let's go to mobile landscape. So here, this doesn't look good. And if you want to change it on tablet, like what I'm about to do, you can apply to tablet as well. So let's go to the Teams wrapper and let's change the grid setting. So rather than 3 columns, let's change it to, let's try 2 columns. Yeah, that looks good. So now we have 2 columns, and this is scalable as well. So I might not even change the body to pixels here. Like, I could actually, maybe to make the font smaller. And what I would do here for the card wrapper, or like for these elements, I would just, just have them be centered like that. Yeah, that looks awesome. Yeah, I guess I could change it to pixels. I'm still liking it though. Still liking how that looks. But in any case, yeah, and let's change this to just 1 column as well. Oh yeah, 1 column. Here we go. Well, that didn't quite work. Okay. Or how about I'm just going to change this to flex here and vertical and align left. And this is, what's this doing? Oh. What are you doing, heading line? This should go to the left. Oh, maybe, huh. All right, this line is doing its own thing, so we'll come back to it. But I want this line to be at the top here. So yeah, just to showcase, essentially, like we can go to the body, and this is what kind of Timothy recommends. I'll read everyone's chats in a second after I get through this last bit, but we can change the body all pages to, oh, and it is. So, okay. And I was actually kind of curious about that because when I went to mobile landscape, the text wasn't resizing. So I just got excited, but I just realized Timothy already applied the pixels to the tablet and mobile from his template. So the excitement that I was feeling around everything working smoothly is because, Timothy already took that into account, and he's like, yeah, for tablet, just going to set it to pixels. So the body on tablet is 14 pixels. No, not 4. Is it 14? Yeah, 14 pixels. And for mobile landscape, the same. So once we get to tablet, Timothy actually sets the size to 14 pixels. If I were to set this to 1VW or just remove this custom size, like look what happens on tablet. Yeah, it just resizes like that. So what Timothy did on tablet is he said 14 pixels for the body and make all the M units relative to 14 pixels rather than VW. And it was great. It worked out great for this design. And then for mobile portrait, we're just going to change the grid to 1 column. Yeah, there we go. And that's it. And I think you can change the columns to M's as well rather than FR. Let me do that really quick. What if I say 1M? No, it would. Yeah, I think 1FR works here actually. Like FR is a fractional unit, so I think it's still fully responsive. So I'm not sure if we need to change the fractional units on the grid. All right, you know what? I'm going to change this to on tablet to 2 columns. That looks better. And I'm also going to remove the alignment for these and just have everything be centered. Wow, Webflow every day is becoming more and more powerful to me. Like, I don't know if you guys are like, catching well, I'm sure you are. Like, we have a lot of advanced users here, but as I'm building, like, I'm super glad I did these live streams because I'm like, had I not done it, it gives me kind of not an excuse, but it helps me to keep leveling up my, I don't know if I said that right, my Webflow kind of skills. So yeah, and I'm going to change this to 1 column as well here, just to make it really, really responsive. Yeah, awesome. Maybe 80 viewport VW. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, 1M there would be 14 pixels exactly. So look how awesomely responsive this site is. Let's say we go, to, I don't know where you would see a site, but like somebody visits your site, on a TV or some projector or like, I don't know, something that has a super crazy high resolution. And let me look that up. Like what is a TV resolution? Well, it depends. Yeah. Or like a 4K screen, right? Like if you're on a 4K TV, what's 4K? Well, 4,000 pixels. 4K resolution is 3840, right? So if you're on a 4K screen, that's almost 4,000 pixels, And if someone's using all those pixels, your site's going to look super crisp and super awesome because it's large enough, everything scales and everything will be super legible. I probably said that. That's probably the 5th time I've said that, but I'm just geeking out over how cool this is. All right, so 4,000 screen, then, let's go to tablet. Oh, everything's beautiful. 14 pixels, reference for the body, mobile landscape, and mobile portrait. And okay, let's figure this out. Why is this line not to the left? If anybody can tell me, let's for the last few minutes, let's just figure out why this line is still centered. It's bothering me. It should be lined up to the left with the rest of the elements. So I set the heading wrapper to flex, vertical, align left, and justify top. There's no padding to the heading wrapper, and there's no margin to this line. So we'll spend 2 minutes, and I don't have any prizes or anything, so like I can't give anything out right now, but yeah, if anyone can spot it, I'm acting like I know why it's doing that, but actually I'm curious. So the line should be to the left. So it's vertical. All right. The width is 7.5 ems. Let's see position relative. No. It's a mystery. Let's look at the other selectors. Heading line. Heading line. It's line centered. It's not justified. I think you can set a line left for the grid child itself. Yeah, that's a good point, Manuel, but I set this to flex on mobile landscape. So I think it should be respecting the flex settings and not the grid settings at this point. Is that a bug? Did I just find a bug? Maybe I found a bug. Bugs do happen. They do happen. So if I align, none of this alignment is working. Let me set this to pixels. Nope. I didn't think that would work. That is interesting. What if I just set this to block? Oh, okay. So rather than setting it to flex here, I'll just set it to block. And then, or actually, you know why I liked flexed? Because, well, yeah, setting it to block kind of removes our margin. So I guess I'd have to add margin to the bottom and top of this. Not loving that. Not loving that I just had to do that. Yeah, sure. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, didn't. That was weird. I think that's a bug. I'm going to just undo what I just did. I don't like that I just had to set it to display block. I do not think that's great. I'd rather just, yeah. Maybe I'll come back to it, and maybe I'm just overlooking something here, but yeah. All right, cool. So last thing we'll do is add this new Neomorphism effect. So let's pick a cool color. Let me go to coolers.co, and then I'll read everyone's chat. And I'm just gonna explore a color, and we're gonna pick a cool color. Get some design going. I love, making things look cool and designy. All right, let's explore. Yeah, I thought that was a bit strange, Tommy. Like, I don't know why. It definitely should be on the left. If you put margin auto on right, let's try it. Dude, I wish I was giving away prizes, because I would definitely. Let me think. Could I give a prize? What could I give away? I don't know. All my projects are clonable. They're free. So, and Tommy's probably like an advanced user, so he knows his stuff. Yeah, maybe templates. I mean, I have some templates that are not in the Webflow marketplace that I can send. I'll think about that. Yeah, Tommy. Like, if you want one of my templates or something. Or actually, no, let me give it a bit more thought. But it'd be cool if I gave away prizes or something. Like, we had quizzes and stuff like that. I don't know. Just thinking of ways to make these streams kind of interesting and stuff like that. But Tommy, oh yeah, for sure. I didn't think that there's probably anything I could give at the moment. But Tommy wins, or like he figured it out here. So by setting it to auto here on the right, it fixes it. So we're all good there. And that was a good technique. I didn't like setting it to block, because flex just, we retained our spacing with flex. All right, so let's go ahead and add the neomorphism effect. Let's go really out there. No, not orange. That's too much. How about, let's do, I'm just trying to pick a really cool color here, and something that'll stand out here on the live stream. How about this? Yeah, let's do this olive color. So we'll do this olive color. And this site is Neomorphism. Let me put it in the chat. Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it. For sure. So then I'll copy this code. And then in Neomorphism, let me paste this in here, this color. Oh, that's kind of nice. I kind of like that color. It's different. It's different. All right, so with Neomorphism, you can just, apply different shadows and things like that to the element. And let me see if I can get a different color, actually, something that's a little bit lighter. Yeah, let's do this kind of yellow color. I think it stands out with more, with more kind of brighter colors. So let's do the one that pops out like this. And we can change where the shadow comes from. So we can just, from these different angles, something like that. Yeah. And then I'll just copy this code, or let's do it from the top right. Or maybe the top left. Yeah, the top left. So I'll just copy this code, and then we'll go into the site. Let me go to the desktop, and on the theme card wrapper. So this is actually custom code. Let me actually add an embed element so we can see it right in Webflow. So let me add an element, add an embed, and we'll just say style, open a style tag. I'll say team, what was it called? Team card wrapper. Yeah, that's what I thought I called it there. All right, so I'm going to try to finish right at 1 or little after 1. Team card wrapper. And just paste that code in there, close bracket. And this formatting is horrendous, but we'll just leave it like that for now. And then the style tag. Save and close. Okay, we have that style. And then we just want to copy this color, apply it to the body. We'll just apply it to all body pages and apply this background color, and I'll remove the border from the team card wrapper. So we'll just remove the style, and we have this nice kind of interesting design. I kind of like that. It like adds some luminescence to the card and the shadow, and creates this really unique effect to the card. It like pops out a little bit, and you can actually like make it more pronounced. Oops, let me redo that. So you can make it more pronounced, like the distance like I can add more distance, and the intensity, I can play with that. So if I go back and copy this and just put it into the embed, right in here, let me get the embed element. So that's even more pronounced. So you get the idea. It's Neomorphism. And yeah, it's fun. So again, look at this responsive site. Amazing. Look at that. Never in my wildest dreams that I think I could be able to do this with web design and a no code tool. Like, these are things like when I first started making websites that, like, this is how it was supposed to work in my mind. And then I got into web development and it didn't work like this. And I was like, why not? Like, why can't I just make things scalable and responsive? And now that we can do it, it's just like, this is why to me, Webflow is like ahead of the game, or like kind of I want to say the leaders in this no code web dev space, you know. And I don't say that to like, you know, because there's a lot of other great tools out there, but like for Webflow to be making this so accessible to everybody, and like to be able to design sites like this where it's so fluid and responsive with like different layout settings, grid and flexbox, like, yeah, I don't know other tools that provide this other than, you know, coding yourself and understanding these concepts via code, you know. Like, I don't see any other way, and Webflow allows you to do it right in the designer. So loving it. All right, so yeah, I'm using Wizardry. Definitely rewind and watch this live stream if you want to see how I did all this and the approach I took. But we are using the Wizardry method, you know, applying 1VW to the font size on the body, and then using Ems. And I didn't use a container for this build, so yeah. One more. Let me try this color. No, that's too dark. We'll do one more color just because I'm having fun with these colors. Yeah, maybe this cream color. Oh no, that's kind of, is that the color that I just used? Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, let's try this blue color here. Let's try that. It's really easy to change the color. Oh, that's a little bit extreme, but why not? That looks nice. So I like that yellow. Wow, you can get really kind of designy with some of these different effects. And we'll just paste that in there. Oops. Can I undo that? Yeah. Good old undo. Where'd my closing bracket go? There it is. Whoa. That's interesting. Having a different color for the background. That's kind of unique. It's a little weird, but if you can get the right combination of colors, you could do something really cool. Yeah, let me change the background here of the body all pages. Cool. All right, so I'll leave it at that. This was a very, very cool live stream. I was gonna say really cool, and I said very, really cool live stream. We made a fully kind of responsive site. And yeah, so we built out this wireframe. I didn't build out this animation. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. But there's just so many cool different layouts here that we're gonna get to build in these live streams that I'm just super excited. Like, this is a wireframe that I got from Envato Elements. Envato Elements is in the description area below. They have tons of like amazing design elements. And so I saw this wireframe kind of template, and I looked at all the different combinations, and I was like, yeah, this will give us content for like a year or more, or a lot of months. I should put it that way, to just build out different layouts, try out different techniques, and make things responsive, and just do a lot of cool things in Webflow. So we'll have a lot of fun with this wireframe and building out a lot of great things in Webflow. So which one did we just build? the Teams one. Can't even find it now. There's so many. Oh, it's right here. It's right there. And we built it here. That type of layout. All right, so let me, right before we leave, let me just review the chat, see if I missed anything. Tommy wrote, have you seen his jQuery builder? Super easy to implement animations that aren't built into Webflow. I did take a look at it. I saw the page for it. I can't say I really looked into it. I saw that he offered it, so I'll take another look and check that out. So Timothy, yeah, he's clever. He does a lot of cool stuff. So I'll check that out. With the anime.js, I might do some interactions this week. I have some a very cool interaction that I want to build with ClipPath and anime.js. Like, I won't say what it is, but like basically think about drawing lines with a ClipPath, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you see my ClipPath video and what I did with that, think about drawing lines with ClipPath. I'm gonna see if it's achievable. If it is, it can make for a super cool design element on a website. All right, so let's see. Yeah, I'll check out the jQuery method, Tommy. Cool. So yeah, so we need membership and e-commerce live stream. So Tommy wrote, why not make that with CMS? Yeah, definitely. I think MemberStack would probably be a good solution for that in the CMS. But yeah, Webflow doesn't have memberships built in natively. RemJ wrote, looking forward to use it on my first project for a blog. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, Tommy, really glad you took my advice. Check it out. Being excited as me is awesome for sure. Yeah. T-Rix is too good for us. He's our guy. He's awesome. Yeah. Very cool. I wouldn't make anyone your god, but that's okay. Sorry. But he's cool. He definitely provides a lot of great content. RemJ, yeah, for sure. Merging multiple kind of content is the best way. Monoro, so nice. Yep. So nice, but you could also set the body font size at 1440 to pixels, no, for what you need the custom code actually. Body font size at 1440 to pixels. Yeah, I think you might be talking about the container manual. Yeah, we just set it to 1440 pixels. Like if you wanted to set a max width, just set it to pixels, and then you have a max width. But again, like, you know, as you're getting larger, just make sure you're using that custom code that Timothy provides here, this max width calculator, because if you do get to larger screens, like, you don't want this to happen. So just note, if you're using a max width, you want to make sure to use that piece of code. Happy to see you using Grid so much now too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, jQuery by Timothy Rex. So Tommy wrote, where's the width inherited from? 1M there would mean 14 pixels. Yeah, exactly. So on tablet, 1M is 14, right? So where's the width inherited from? Oh, snap. That is it would be inherited from pixels too, right? So I applied the M's to the 3 M's to the to tablet. So 3 times 14 is 42. So 42 pixels from the left and the right. And I could probably test that. Like, what if I said 42 pixels? It's the same. It doesn't even change, right? So it's exactly 42. So 3M, yeah, because it's using the body 14 pixels. So it's 42. 3M equals 42 pixels. I think I answered that question, Tommy. I'm not sure. It was asked probably a while back. I think you can set a line left for the grid. Yep, we went over that. Yep, margin auto. Yep, this was fixing the line up here. Noise. Awesome. What does auto do exactly compared to 0? So auto, that's a really good question. I'm not sure I'll be able to give you like a scientific explanation for it, but auto just removes any units from, if I were to set this to 0, for example, I think it would put it to the right or back to the middle. Like auto auto centers things. Like if you have auto on left and right of an element, it'll put it in the center. And that's probably the best way I can explain that. Maybe Tommy has a good explanation, but like Webflow has this auto button here where you can center elements horizontally just by clicking this button, and it would center the element. So auto, it just removes any units from the element as far as like margin, and we'll put things in the center of the canvas. Yeah, I can probably get a better definition for you. Let me look it up. What does auto do in web design? Kind of give you more like I know what it does, but I don't have like a great definition for it. Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll get kind of a better explanation. Maybe if you come back tomorrow, I'll have kind of maybe a better description for it. Or like if I do auto, just type in auto Webflow. Maybe Webflow provides a good description for it. Yeah, auto margin, perfect. So auto margin is used by Apple, Google, Stripe, and other design leaders as a way to horizontally center elements, which is kind of what I mentioned. By setting auto margin to an element that has a defined width, you can horizontally center the element within the boundary of its parent. All right. I guess that's the same type of description I offered, but to go more in depth as to how it works as far as HTML, or like a more in-depth answer, like I don't know, maybe that answer is sufficient. I'm Carm. I used Wizardry today. Thanks for the stream, dude. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate you. Appreciate the stream. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Alex and Base. Awesome. Yeah, so got to get better with the 1 o'clock. It's definitely 12 minutes after. Just had so much fun with the stream today that couldn't contain my excitement and just went over a bit. So yeah, this is what we built today in the live stream. Super happy with this live stream. If you didn't catch everything I went over at the beginning, definitely I would say this is a live stream worth watching from the beginning, just because of the information I provided. I'm personally excited that I spent time with the Wizardry method to kind of mess with the different units and just see the effect it has on a site as far as responsiveness, and just how scalable you can make a site across really large screens to really large desktop screens, even probably televisions, or I haven't tested it on televisions, but using this method and not necessarily having a container, you can make things really big, and have it scale and look the same on smaller screens to super large screens. If you want a container, you can definitely add one, or a max width to the container. You can definitely add one, and just be sure to use this piece of code to make sure that your elements do not scale beyond the max width. All right, that's it for this live stream. Thanks everyone for watching. I could go on probably for another 15, 30 minutes. I don't even know how long, just talking more about this method and the different units of Webflow, but I'm going to end it here. Definitely join tomorrow's live stream. It's going to be popping as well. We're going to have some cool stuff. We might build another layout just because we're having a lot of fun, or I'm personally having a lot of fun with this method and just building out layouts. But if I have a cool interaction to show tomorrow, we'll cover that as well. And yeah, share this live stream with anyone who's getting into Webflow, who's just starting Webflow. Let them know about this live stream, and if they have questions, they can just join and ask me questions, and I'd be happy to discuss and answer any questions related to Webflow and web design and development. So thanks everyone. Have a great and blessed day. Love you all. Thank you. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.